for most of you here, I've been going out to bars and clubs for about 2 decades. I went out nonstop until about 2018. I eased up a bit after that, but I know this top to bottom. I can take you out to the club. We could go talk to everybody there. We'd have a great night, but you'll find excuses not to do what it is that I'm doing. And then you'll go back and you'll hide in your phone. So what I would say to you is realize that anything that's going to really, really help you, you have to be able to take in the light. You have to be able to take that in. There's a certain extent of kind of like light that you're able to let land. And if too much of it lands, then you're just going to run away from it, or you're going to sabotage it, or you're going to find problems with it. That is why most personal development is a joke, okay? It's a joke. So a simple example is for many, many years I've done energetic releases at events. I'll do releases where the whole room is crying. I'll do some here with you this weekend. Everybody's going crazy, everybody's crying. Super awesome. But what winds up happening is I will have friends that I can tell are shrouded in what you'd call LVE, low vibration energy, trauma energy. You call it whatever you want to call it. I call it Satan, to be honest with you. And so what you'll see is you'll be doing the energetic releases. And I have friends that are addicted like this. And you will see them off in the corner blocking it out. People will take in that which resonates, and they will block out anything beyond that as far as your life getting too good. So I'm the kind of person where when I see something, I just want to go do it. I'm weird like that. If I see something, I just want to go do it. I saw the movie Fight Club, and I'm like, I want to make a reality where I have like a secret club, and I walk down the street and people nod at me, and it's just like the movie Fight Club. I actually did that. I saw it and I did it, okay? I saw it, I did it. Whatever it is that I see that I want to go do, I just go do it. I just like to do stuff. I get bored quickly. I get real bored real quick. Now let me talk about this idea of getting bored quickly, by the way. I'm going to talk about this for a second. So to some extent, the need for overstimulation, you could argue against that. I think there's great arguments against that. Some people that are novelty seeking or need a lot of new stimulation, that's actually a reflection of ill mental health. Why do you need so much novelty? Why are you so novelty seeking? So that would be one side of the equation. You've got to be able to sit there staring at a wall and actually be entertained. That's like a baseline. Now, the flip side of that, however, is allowing yourself to be just a cog in the machine and just working, and then doing the basic stuff. So this is going to be one of the first things that I'm going to get all of you here to start to examine in yourself. What I want you to do is I want you to start to see the actual trap that you're in. What is the trap that you're in? And I want you to begin to recognize that trap, and we're going to begin to design a way out of the trap. And the trap is very much like being in a headlock to where every single direction that you move, you're screwed. And I have had to fight my way out of the trap many, many times, and it can cause all sorts of explosions. All sorts. And the cool thing is once you get out of the trap, then you can start to get leverage with it, okay? But you've got to fight your way out of the trap actively. So let me give an example. Everybody here is going to be a little bit different as far as what they value, right? Some of you guys value more your relationships with people. Some people are more relationship oriented. You care more about connecting with people deeply, having personal boundaries, being treated in a way that is building your self-esteem, knowing your role within your group, enhancing that role, loving others more deeply. That would be, some people would put that at number one. By the way, just want to jump into the video and interrupt for 2 seconds. I'm driving up the coast right now, okay? I'm in the Pacific Northwest. The best time of year to be here is God's country in this time of year. And I'm headed up to Portland and Seattle to run some free events this weekend coming up. I'd love to see you fly out and join me in the Pacific Northwest. It is God's country at this time of year. It's so good. Why don't you come out here, join me? Maybe we'll go out and do a little bit of hiking. And at the event, what I'm going to do is show you how to make a lot of cash using your unique strengths. I'm going to show you how to get spiritually tapped in ways that are customized to you, because I'm going to begin to understand you at the event. I'm also going to show you social skills by taking you out for a quick field trip out to the bars and clubs. And I'm going to get you on stage doing public speaking so you can become a better communicator. We do all of this at the free event. So anyway, look, I'm on my summer tour. This is probably my last summer tour for free events. Like I said, it's going to be Portland, Seattle, and then after that, I'm going to be doing Minnesota, Chicago, Detroit, Denver, New York City, Boston, DC, and Honolulu. If you'd like to get out to the free event, we're going to be building you a mastermind, getting you a ton of feedback. I'd love for you to join me in the Pacific Northwest, but really to any of the cities coming up, probably my last year doing free events like this. I actually want to go home, cut some weight, and work on the business. But I'm enjoying being out here right now, so this is your moment. If you want to get to the free event, make sure that you lock in your seat while the seat's still available before the room fills. Click the link right now, and I'll see you at the free event. For other people, number one would be things like experiences and getting out and experiencing the world and seeing what the world has to offer and not just doing the same thing again and again. For other people, it can be contribution. For some of us, we just want to contribute the most that we can. And that could be another orientation. And sadly, for some of us, it could be about being numb, just being numbed out and being on autopilot and fitting in with the group and minimizing friction and minimizing work. And that last one characterizes probably the majority of society. It's actually very, very sad. And the result of that is that your life winds up you being in this kind of creepy headlock where what you're doing is putting energy into the system so that other people at the top can benefit. But here's where it gets messed up. I've actually coached a lot of the people at the top. I've coached people that are the heads of tech firms. I've coached people that are top athletes. I got into it during COVID because, frankly, my business was totally screwed. We were going to go bankrupt quick. And so I started doing one-on-ones with rich people. And rich people that would actually pay me enough that it was the same thing as if I was just doing volume. And so I got to go into the world of a lot of people that are very, very wealthy. And what I learned over time is that many of them are equally unhappy. So they're unhappy, they're making products for people that are unhappy, and it's this weird loop. So what does it mean to be genuinely happy? Well, you've got most of society, probably about 95% in this weird trap. Then you've got the wealthy that have broken out of the trap, but they're unhappy. So what do you want your life to look like? What should your life look like? And I can't tell you that. That's going to be different for everybody. Everybody's going to have it to where, for whatever reason, they like what they like. They just like what they like, okay? Everybody's a little bit different. I'm kind of weird. For me, I kind of did a lot. You know, I took a lot of action. I did a lot. So I get bored really, really, really quickly. And I actually spent most of my life trying to sort of fit into the mold. I really did. I would sit there with my dad trying to drink beer and watch hockey. I'm like, I know this is going to taste good eventually. And I tried to drink beer watching hockey with my dad. I tried. And I was like, why is this good? I remember I'd go eat at these crappy restaurants, like Pizza Hut. And I'm like, why is this good? I'll tell you another weird one. I would actually look at the women that I was told I should find attractive in the media. Like, well, I don't want to say anybody, but you know these mainstream ones. I'll be nice, right? And I'm like, these girls are not, you know, what I'm into. I'll just be nice. I'm like, why? And then I would listen to music that's shoved down my face. I'm like, this isn't good. So for me, what my challenge was, and many of you probably relate to this, is that you're told that certain things are good, but you can't get your head around them. So I just found I got bored very, very quickly. I tried to follow the path that's laid out for me. It just didn't fit. I really, really, really tried. I have tried for years to dumb myself down for my whole life because it's kind of lonely when you just like weird stuff. It's kind of a lonely environment. I've tried to dumb myself down. But what I realized over time is I'm completely miserable doing that. I just don't like it, okay? So I'm going to tell you what I do like. I like making about $5,200 a day. I just like it.
Yes, sir.
I just like it. I like to make about $5,200 a day. I just prefer it. I don't even think that's that much. I just like it. I like going to a bar club, and I know this is not a popular opinion, but I like to make out with like 5 of the 10 hottest girls in the freaking club. And I know It's wrong. I get it. I know. It's bad, okay? I get it.
Why?
I don't know. Apparently, it's not cool. Okay? I hate living in an apartment. When I live in an apartment, I just wake up every day, and I'm in LA, and I look up in the Hollywood Hills that are always staring at you, and I'm just like, I just want to go up there. I don't know why. I just want to live up there with the view. I don't know why. That's how I am. But then even from there, and you can ask my friends this, even when I'm living in a fat crib in LA, with everything I want, I'm still fucking bored. Okay? I'm fucking bored. And I try not to be. I'm like, oh no, this is cool. Yeah, you know, I got a cool crib, there's a view, everything's good. But I feel the longing. I look at YouTube videos, a place that I want to go. And for whatever reason, I just can't sit there and not go. I have to go. So I'll sit there for like a month learning about the whole damn state. And then I'll just go drive it. And then I'll say, okay, guys, let's go home. And then I start thinking about going home, and my brain just starts shutting down, and I feel freaking miserable. And I go, you know what? Let's just keep going. And then I just keep going. And I go do some other thing. So what I'm saying is, this is an interesting line that I want you to think about. What is the line between being too much of a stimulus junkie who can't be happy meditating versus being okay with the status quo? And my honest opinion is that there's not enough counter narratives on how much the norm sucks. That's just what I honestly believe. I think the norm sucks. I hate it. But I'm not here to make you hate it. I'm just sharing my personal view. So I assume that if you're at my seminar, you're somebody who thinks it sucks as well. I bet you're going to tell me something really cool. Go ahead. But you got to speak up. Don't give me this derp look. Bro, this is so bad. Stand up. Okay, yell to the crowd. No. Dude, you're the dumbed down guy I'm talking about. Okay, louder.
Okay, when there's no balance, it's when there's no balance is when the line gets blurred because you're supposed to have a balance.
You know what, bro? You're right. And if you ask my camera team, or my ex-girlfriend, or anybody, they're gonna tell you that too. But the bottom line is, I'm bored, okay? I am bored, so I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want, like my kid Tristan. So, sit down now. Now, from there, okay, I am fucking bored, okay? So I'm gonna keep going to the best clubs, I'm gonna keep having the best dating life, I'm gonna keep going to the best places, I'm gonna keep hanging out with the best people, and I'm gonna keep doing whatever I want. And I'm gonna do that and make sure I don't ever hurt anybody else. And that's the main key. But what you're gonna see is that most of your friends are not gonna like that lifestyle. Now let me tell you how I built it. What I did was I built it via trial and error. So every single thing that I did or every single thing that I accomplished has been built through pain and mistakes and explosions. So it's not one of these things where you just snap your fingers and then you instantly just have all this cash and just start doing what you want. The first step is you've got to recognize if that's what you want. I understand that the average person doesn't want that. I'm not here to convince the average person. You can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink. Everybody has different things that they like, okay? So for example, my kids' grandparents are such happy, nice people. Their version of a great day is a barbecue with a bunch of their family where they're spending time with the people they love. That's their version of a fun day. So they don't have the same needs that I would have, or if you resonate with what I'm saying, that you might have. They have a different set of needs. So what I'm saying is, the first thing I want you to do in this seminar here together is I want you to get in touch with what you actually value. What do you actually value? What do you actually care about? What do you actually want out of your life? Now, this is the selfish component. Later, I'm going to ask you about contribution. I'm going to ask you about your connection to God. I'm going to ask you about your higher purpose. But for now, let's just start with this. What is it exactly that you like? And then who's going to come with you? What do you like? Everybody's a little bit different. Okay, I probably have higher than average testosterone. What does that do to you when you have higher than average testosterone? You become extremely risk-taking. You like hard work. You even like to get hit. You even like conflict. That's what happens if that's your biochemistry. Other people might be, again, more relationship-oriented, family-oriented. Everybody's a little bit different, okay? Everyone is a touch different. So from that standpoint, what I'd say is don't let society tell you what it is that you want, okay? And what I'm going to show you how to do is how to go through a process where via trial and error you figure this stuff out. So for example, when I learned about social skills, I didn't just snap my finger and have social skills, right? I started going out to bars and clubs 7 days a week, 4 hours a day, and it was like throwing my body into a wall of nails in terror. But I did that again and again and again and again and again and again and again. When I learned public speaking, it was the same thing. That wasn't done via, you snap your fingers and you have it, right? You do it again and again and again and again. When you do an event like this, think about all the different iterations. Think about all the messed up events, the messed up ways that we would have promoted it, the problems that we would have with the cameras, the problems that we would have with the hotel, transportation, seminar rooms. All of these things are going to come up when you're actually doing something. They call that the man in the arena. You're going to fail, so on and so forth. When I figured out when I said to myself, I want to figure out a way to do trips all over the country, all year if I want, or how am I going to figure out how to go skiing all winter? I blew out my ACL this year, completely blew it out. You know what's weird? Seems like it grew back.
Really?
I don't know. I probably still need surgery, I'm guessing, but I think I'm still skiing this winter. So, I don't get bit by bugs, I don't get sick, and now add to that I may have grown back my ACL. But I probably didn't, okay? So I don't really know. I'm gonna go have an x-rayed again, or MRI'd again. Okay, so let's keep going. So the way that I figured out how to travel, it probably took me about 2-3 years of trial and error to get it down to where I could even nail down travel, okay? Without problems, without my staff showing up late with the cameras, without me not booking the right hotels, with me not having the right gear, or being underslept. There's a learning curve to all of this, okay? So for most things that it is that you want to get, it's about a 2-3 year learning curve, and then you can actually build the life that you want to build, okay? So let me tell you a little bit about the life that I want to build for myself. All right, I'll break it down. So the first thing for me is contribution. I'm going to get into that later. You guys could probably tell that. That's why I do these free events. That's why I record it all and put it out for free. Contribution's massive. I'll get into that later. But everything is centered around contribution selfishly. Selfishly. Your life's going to be better when you center around contribution. You will benefit. I'll get into why later in this event. We'll talk in great detail. Now, the other thing that I want, and I'm going to talk about my kind of financial needs, but I want each of you to kind of think about yours. So for me financially, what I like is to be able to buy all my friends 5-star dinners. I like to have a fat crib where all my friends can come and stay. They can come crash with me, and it's inspiring, and it's fun. I like to be able to do trips wherever I want, anytime that I want. I like to be able to spend the winter skiing, and I like to be able to bring my kids. And I like to be able to work on the road. I want to be mobile. I don't want to be stuck at home. I like to be able to buy whatever clothes I want, jewelry, watches, health food restaurants. I probably take about $5,000 a month in supplements. I weirdly like to take about $1,000 a month ginseng. They're about 100-year-old ginseng roots called Tai Chi from dragon herbs. And I like to be relaxed. I don't want to wake up every day with my money running behind. I like to see money stacking up. Now, that sounds like a lot, but you can do all that off about 100 grand a month. It's about 1.2 million a year after taxes. Is that really that much? No. It's really not that much. So from that standpoint, you've got to say to yourself, okay, well, how much money do I need to do what it is that I want to do? How do I break out of what it is that I'm doing now? And then how do I get there? That's it. And then you've got to start backwards engineering it. But then you've got to be willing to put in the time and you've got to be willing to put in the sacrifice. Now, what's going to happen is most of the people around you are not capable of doing that. They're addicted to a smaller reality. Okay? And so one of the things that you're going to notice as you do this is that you're addicted to a smaller reality and your friends and loved ones are addicted to a smaller reality. So in order to get very, very wealthy, what are some components? We'll talk about social, we'll talk about spirituality, we'll be doing this for the whole weekend. What is the primary first thing that you probably need if you want to get wealthy?
Focus.
Cocaine. Okay, so what's the very first thing that you need? You got to have something of value, right? You have to have something of value. So, you know, in your 20s, but if you're starting late, that's fine. Pick something. For God's sake, just pick something. Okay? And guess what? It all sucks. It doesn't actually all suck, but I'm just saying that to you to get you to pick something. Okay? Like at a certain point, pick a peer group, a passion, a project, a significant other, all that stuff. You've got to just, at a certain point, you got to pick something, you got to go with it. Okay? Because otherwise, you're always looking for the bigger, better deal. And if you're looking for the bigger, better deal all the time, you're going to be miserable. So people will look at me and they'll be like, oh, Owen, why did you pick, you know, you're so lucky that you found your passion. Let's be real about this. When I chose this job, I was going to Queen's University in Canada. That's like a Harvard or Yale in Canada. I was going to be a PhD in philosophy or a lawyer. And at a certain point, I said, I'm going to do this. So I chose this. Now, there's many, many other things that I could have chosen to do. I would have enjoyed going into politics. My great uncle wrote Pierre Trudeau's one of his biographies, my Uncle Ramsey Cook. And I would have loved to have sat there in a debate with Justin Trudeau and said, my Uncle Ramsey wrote one of your father's biographies, and I'm so sickened with you that I had to run for prime minister. And I would have loved to have done that. I think about it all the time. I would have loved to have done that. I would have loved to have been a philosophy PhD. I would have loved to have been a lawyer. I would have loved to have worked in fashion. I would have loved to have worked in hip hop and music, not as a rapper, okay? I would have loved to have done that. There's so many different things that I would have loved to have done. Many, many, many different things. So at what point do you just say, okay, I'm going to do this? Now, once I chose this, I want you to notice here that I add the passion to it. So when I said, okay, I'm going to get better social skills so I can teach it, I said, well, I want to be awesome at this. I'm going to go out 7 days a week. So I'm putting the passion into it. Likewise, I said, you know what? I want to be great at public speaking. I put the passion into it. I said, I want to research the content. I put the passion into it. I said, I want to do multi-million-dollar launches. I put the passion into it. So it's one of these things where, you know, you've got to actually add the passion to it. There's nothing that's going to tickle you. You've got to gamify it and make it your own little game. There's many different paths that you can find enjoyable. Then from there, you've got to do it over and over and over and over and over until you're one of the best. Then when you're one of the best, you can charge a lot of money for what it is that you're doing. So find something that you can throw yourself into and put in those 10,000 hours. From there, what you've got to do is you've got to study marketing and sales. And I'll talk about that this weekend. Marketing and sales. My biggest launch I've done is a couple million. We did a 7-figure launch a couple months ago. That was a lot of fun. You guys see the Endless Motivation launch? That was great. It's very, very normal for me to do simple YouTube launches that do 7 figures. We do them all the time. Easy. When you understand sales and marketing. How many of you here have ever talked to my sales team on the phone? Put your hand up. You guys like the sales team?
Yes.
Are they persuasive?
Yes.
How persuasive?
Very strongly.
How persuasive?
Very strong.
Yeah, kind of scary how persuasive they are, right? Does that happen on its own?
No.
That just, you just go, that's it? And they get like that? How much organization and work do you think that takes to have a team like that? It's a lot. Okay. So you've got to learn marketing and sales. And then you've also got to learn how to scale what it is that you're doing. So you have to learn how to multiply yourself. And I'll talk to you about that as well. Part of that is also being a leader and understanding leadership and getting into environments that are supportive, getting into putting people around you that see the vision and support that vision, and then paying them very well, but also making a culture they want to be part of. So I've had ups and downs with this, okay? It takes years and years to get it down. And it's just like playing hockey, playing basketball, playing an instrument. You get better at it as time goes on, okay? So that's how you make a lot of money. Whatever it is that you're doing now to make money is probably not working. Probably. Who in here right now is making over $1 million a year? Put your hands up.
Revenue.
Couple of you guys. So for you guys that are doing over $1 million a year, and you see people that are doing less, how do you feel about that when you see that? Go ahead. You got a lot of work to do, my man. Okay, stand up.
Okay, yeah.
Go like this, go. Eh. Come on, man. All right, come up here. Okay, just do it. Get over here, okay? Okay. Okay, wake up. Go. Look at the crowd. You were louder when you did it to me. Louder. Everybody here do it. Okay, so what is it like when you see people that are broke? How do you feel as someone who's crossed over?
I just feel like sometimes people just don't know what to do, and I know what to do, which I'm lucky to, but some people just don't know what to do, I feel like.
Okay, why did you speak so quiet as soon as I took you from screaming?
I just didn't know if you're speaking to me, but now that you're speaking to me, and I used to stutter, so I'm just kind of
Okay, again. Again. Okay, show me you're speaking now. You know what that is? You know what he's doing? You ever heard that book? They call it Power versus Force. He's trying to force it out. If I did that, my voice would go out within the first half hour of the seminar. Okay, loosen up, just relax a little bit. Go ahead. Give me more. Give me a little bit more. Give me a little more. Okay, now talk at that volume when you're explaining when you see people that are broke.
When I see people that are broke, I just feel like I'm really thankful because I learned a skill and now I can just do the skill, but some people just don't have that experience. So.
Okay, what should they do to get it? What did you do to get that skill?
I just learned, so I started a door-to-door sales position job and I just did it over and over for 6 years, worked my ass off, and you just got to put in like the time to learn something. And like Owen was saying, there's a lot of things you could do, but in reality, you just have to pick one and then just put as much time and resources as possible into it.
Could you guys give me a hand for that? All right, good job. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so, look, the point is, whatever you want out of life is whatever you want out of life, okay? Everybody's a little bit different. Everybody's different. You got to figure out what it is that you want to do. So for me, like I said, my big thing is adventure, contribution, having my friends around me, family around me, adding value, and a lot of very, very large ambitions that I have that push me. I like to be challenged. For many of you guys, it'll be different things. Could be family-oriented, relationship-oriented, could be about your kids. I bring my kids with me, but you see the point? It could be basic comfort, whatever it is, okay? But for the next 3 minutes, talk to the people beside you about what it is that you want as far as your life, and then ask yourself how expensive it is. Okay, ready? Hop in, and we'll come back in 3 minutes. Now, what I'm going to explain to you next is that half of this is what you want for yourself. I'm going to tell you why I think that's important, but then I'm going to go into what it means to what you want for other people, okay? So my belief is that, and this is just my subjective beliefs, my belief is that why we're here, part of it is to enjoy God's creation. So the way that I think about it is imagine that you're the creator, and we'll put this in human beings terms. So imagine that you made me a dinner, and you made me the best dinner ever, okay? You made me this incredible dinner. Now, imagine you worked on this thing all afternoon, and then I roll up, I'm like, oh, dinner. Yeah. Oh, chicken wing. Sweet. Yeah, let me look at my phone. Cool. Anyway, yeah, hey, good to see you. Go fuck yourself. What if I did that, right? So obviously if I did that, you'd be pissed. Now, what if I sit there and I go, ooh, amazing. What a great dinner. Oh my God. Oh, it's so good. And then I eat it and I take it in and I enjoy it and I turn off my phone and I talk to you and we have a great night and we have great conversation. And then afterwards I, give you a hand job behind the dumpster or something, okay? So what if I do that? Okay? Like a reach around one while a rat looks at it, okay? So what if I do that? Well, obviously if I'm doing that, then you're gonna feel appreciated, right? You're gonna know how much I care. So that's showing gratitude. The first one, you're basically saying, don't do any more of that. Just stop. I don't care. And you're not present to it. The second one, you actually do care. So in my mind, this is what I've noticed. When I traveled the world, I spent about 2.5 or maybe 3 years or something just driving the country, just driving it. And if you could train yourself to just get out into nature, check out the outdoors, look at God's creation, see the animals, see nature, look at the sky. One of my favorite things to do is to go skiing because it's like you're doing that on steroids. Like you're blasting down a hill looking at God's creation. It's amazing, okay? You got skiing, super underrated. Get your Icon pass, get your Epic pass. Okay, you'll see me out there hobbling through it on my torn ACL this winter. So it's one of these things where you want to really, really, really take it in. Take it in. Other people, what other people have to offer. Flow states, and so on and so forth. So part of it is, like we said, what is it that you want? There's this kind of confusion that people have surrounding receiving, I think, okay? So there's different ways that people receive. Some people receive within a framework of it's enhancing their ego, where they're like, I got bitches, I got this money, I got this crib, right? And so what's happened to them is they're divorced from their core self. You might even want to really, really deeply study this. I'm not going to talk about this in great detail, but really, really deeply study what is the core self and how we can take wounds in childhood and it actually shatters our core self. And then we create a fake self surrounding that. And then that self is looking to know what it is because it's a fake self. And so it's basically just trying to get a bunch of gratification and egoic validation. It's very, very sad. And somebody lives their whole life basically in this kind of sunken place where it's like their life is just passing them by. And they're living via their ego. Being in a city really, really promotes that, doesn't it? Because it's like you've got this social media, you've got this little avatar. How much money do you make? Thank you very much. How much money do you make? How cool are you? How popular are you? Are the people that you hook up with attractive? And so on and so forth. So I did that for many years, many, many years. You guys have seen my career. I basically spent years and years going out to bars and clubs. Eventually, in 2015, I rented the house at the top of Runyon Canyon. We're from LA here, so you guys know you guys know the Runyon house? That weird, creepy one at the top of Runyon? Okay, it's massive. I rented that out for about a year. We did crazy parties up there. Later, we moved to Skyline Drive. You might have seen some of those old videos. And we're up there, had one of the biggest houses in LA, one of the biggest lots. And we were doing parties. My buddy Big Mike was I call my roommate as a joke. We were just sharing this fat crib. And he'd throw down on it. We'd spend about $500,000 per party. And I would go out to bars and clubs. I'd get in the best clubs. I'd invite everybody up. I'd go to the best restaurants. I probably own about $2 million in clothes. I've got closets where we've got to stack them up. And I've got like clothes from when I wasn't as fat. And there's like a whole like closet of those clothes that I hope to eventually fit again. And Yeah, I mean, I just have a lot of clothes, guys. I don't know what to tell you. And what I would do is I'd basically, in the daytime, I'd go to Rodeo Drive. I knew all the people there that would like, work at the best stores. I'd just buy everything I want. At night, I'd go out to some super baller restaurant. Then I'd go out to a bar club. I'd meet everybody there. I'd do after parties. And then I'd do big fat parties about once every 2 weeks, okay? And I did that for like half a decade. It was a lot of fun. It was great. But what that, and then I'm building my social media following. I think my average video view count back then was about 300,000 with long form content before I nuked my channel. So everywhere I went, about 50 or 100 people a day are coming up to me. I mean, it was awesome, It's like you just walk down the street, people cheer for you. I'm basically a cult leader. So that was fun, right? I did that, okay? And what happened was, at a certain point, I realized that, like, I kind of maxed that out. Like, all right, I did that. It was cool. I had fun. I maxed that out, okay? So I used to have it where, dating-wise, it got hard to keep up. Like, I'd wake up, and there'd be 10 or 15 different people DMing me a day. I'd wake up to this. And I'm like, I don't know how to keep up with this. I cannot keep up with this. So I did that for a while, and I'm going to show you how to build that, okay? So I'm going to show you how to build that this weekend. But I also want to tell you that, in effect, all that's doing is just building out your ego. So I think the functional reasons to know how to do that are, I think it's functionally important to understand how to make money. I think it's functionally important to know how to date. But if you were to ask me at 43, what do I value the most? 100% is my kids, 100%. 100%, I would say the people the closest in my life that are very, very, very important to me, including you guys, by the way, including you guys, because a lot of the content that I put out can create major problems for me, but I still put it out. And what I care about is contribution, and then just taking in the world and seeing the world. So one kick that you're getting is what you would call a dopamine spike or an ego spike. Say the word dopamine spike. Dopamine spike. Say it louder. Dopamine spike. Okay, the other, I'm going to be weird, you could almost call it like a presence spike. We'll just use that word. Say that. Presence spike. Okay, so what I learned from going into nature is that you almost get the same kind of feeling, but one of them is more frenetic, and you feel like you can get it taken away from you, right? So when you're killing it, you feel like at any moment that can go away. What going into nature trains you how to do is it trains you how to get present to the moment and deeply, deeply appreciate. So one of them is this weird frenetic thing that you have going on where you're like, oh, I have to keep generating this. I have to keep getting, I got to hook up with new girls. I got to make more money. I got to do more parties, et cetera, et cetera. And you're getting basically like a narcissistic supply from that. It's a bunch of validation. But the flip side is that if you're out in nature, you're not really getting any recognition from that. Nobody's going to recognize you for that at all. You're not getting any validation for it. So that one is about your experience and your connection to your creator. It's about really taking in the creation of life. And what's going to happen if you go out more and more is that it's going to bring ideas into your head that are kind of like a natural version of a psychedelic. Because if you can learn to still the mind at a high enough level, nature itself will move your thoughts for you. It'll bring about a sort of expansive thinking. It'll draw attention away from the ego, and it will show you your smallness. You can sit here in a fat crib, millions of bucks, great dating life, but you're still trapped in your little mind. So for me, what a lot of travel was breaking that paradigm that I kind of fought my way to master for many, many years. I'm like, I'm going to break this. I'm going to tangibly break this as a priority. So that's why I got into things like skiing. That's why I got into things like going into the outdoors. That's why I got into reading the Bible. That's why I got into helping people at a higher and higher level. So what this is going to allow you to do is that getting out into nature creates a foundation of clarity, and it's going to allow you to realize what it is that you want to contribute. What I've seen is that figuring out what you want to contribute can be a little bit tricky. There's different layers to it. Because what winds up happening is you're stuck in your ego, And so you say, well, what do you want to contribute? And it's something that's going to get you egoic gratification. But that ultimately will be popped like a bubble. Okay? You're going to find that as you go through life, everything that you're doing wrong or everything that's ego-based is going to come and get popped. So that's why they call it surrender. Okay? You've got to surrender. So when we spoke earlier about what it is that you want, the next layer to this is I'm going to ask you to parse out what is it that you want more for your ego and what is it that speaks to your soul. And what I'll talk about next is how contribution actually anchors you to that. Okay? So take a minute and talk to your group right now about which of the things that you wrote down that you think you want, which are really for your soul. Which are contribution based, which are win-win. Write that down and we'll come back. Let's go. Now, the contribution one really pisses me off. I'm going to tell you why. The idea of contribution is so fucking cliched that I feel that what happens is that people will give props to that idea because they think they're supposed to. The average person, you say, do you believe in contribution? Oh, yeah, contribution. But it's not really what's grounding them or centering them at all. So they'll pay lip service to it. So what I want to do is, why don't we talk for a minute about whether or not you should be a good or bad person. And what I want to do is I want to construct an argument for why it would be good to be a bad person. And I want to do what's called a steel man takedown. Okay? So a steel man takedown is when you fight against the strongest version of an argument rather than the weakest version. Okay, the weakest version is like, why should you be a good person? Because being bad is wrong. Okay? And look, I'm gonna tell you something. A fascination that I have, and it's really creepy, by the way. I love just seeing where people will break. And an example of that would be like, I'll be running this event, and the janitor or security will come, and they're like, oh, you know, the staff has to clean up, and it would be wrong to keep it open any later. And I'm like, okay. What if I give you $10? And they're like, oh, yeah, no, it's no problem. I'm gonna tell you something really naughty that I used to do. I'd go out to the club. Maybe I meet somebody. You know, their friend comes along and they're like, oh my God, like, I just couldn't ever let you guys go back together because, you know, I don't know you and, you know, who knows who you could be. And I would just feel terrible. And for about 6 months at one point, as a joke to myself, I just whip out a 20. They're out of there, okay? And, you know, ethics is a weird thing, right? Because I've seen stuff in my life's position that's haunting, things that I can't unsee. Things that I cannot unsee. You know, I go to a bar, and if I'm more in state and control the frame better, and I'm funnier than maybe somebody that came with their significant other, what happens is, what I've observed, is that the person that I'm talking to, their RAS, their selective focus, will tune out their significant other. They just tune them out. Poof, they're gone. I've seen this. Again, you can imagine where that goes from there. How many times have I been having a sleepover party with somebody and they call their significant other? You're talking into the hundreds of times. So I've seen this. I've seen it up close. I've seen how people act around money up close. People get funny around money. I've seen it. It's crazy how people get around money. People, we are rationalization machines. Easily bent, lack of object constancy, highly rationalizing, highly self-justifying. And what we do is we rearrange reality such that we are the hero in the journey. And you can watch people do this in real time. They use a combination of projection. Projection is where people will say that the other person is doing what they're doing. devaluation, where what happens is that if that's the full picture, and there's 99 good things out of 100, they'll focus on the one bad thing to justify what they're going to do, and they believe it. And so that is what human beings do. When human beings are in a war and they're fighting against each other, both sides think they're on the side of God. It's natural human nature. It's how we're built. It's very, very easy to get people to trash each other behind each other's backs. It's very, very easy to get people complaining. I get it. That's human nature. So let's make a steel man argument. In a world like that, where people are that pathetic, in a world where people are that selfish, in a world where the average person will probably get away with whatever it is that they can, given that that's actually the world, why not just get yours? Now, I'm telling you this because I've studied a lot about I've studied a lot of psychiatry. I've studied a lot about mental health. And in there, you'll see things like sociopathy, psychopathy, narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, histrionic. Those are called cluster B. And everybody has a little bit of that in them. And so the question is, what's going to dominate you, right? But given that human beings have this tendency, one thing that I've seen is that people that are kind of psycho, how do you think that they justify that they're a psycho? Like, how does a psycho justify they're a psycho? How do they justify it? The way you justify it is that a psycho is often very attuned with how much people are deceiving themselves. So a psycho, here's how a psycho sees it, okay? A psycho's like, oh, you believe in God, a fairy in the sky. Then you say that you believe in God, but you're a massive freaking hypocrite. You do it, you rationalize doing whatever you want anyway. You're totally win-lose. You do these kind of empty gestures of being a good person. It's all fake. Why would I not just eat your lunch? You would do it to me anyway. So I'm the more authentic person by just doing that to you. That's how a psycho rationalizes it. So they view it that somebody with ethics is basically a step behind everybody else, okay? They view the person with ethics basically has this weird self-imposed cap because they believe in a fairy tale. Now, I'll tell you another thing about psychos, okay? This is also important. Psychos are very, very good at not staring at TikTok all day and just making millions of dollars. They're very, very good at that. Because they're basically completely tapped into satanic energy. So they're just full-on takers. Full-on transactional. Full-on win-lose. But why not be like that if that's kind of what the average person is like anyway, and they're just hiding it? So that would be an argument for being a bad person. Is there anybody else? That's just my best shot at it. Who here would have another? I want to break down the strongest possible argument. So give me some, yell them out. What are some reasons to be a bad person?
Life is a sin
Reason to
without
be a
sin.
bad person.
No, life without sin
simply
is a sin.
because
One sec. What's that?
there's a reason to be a bad person because what we are built on, society was built off violence, war, and that was.
Yeah, society is built on violence. Society is built on war. Funny enough, when I put this out as a video, the media will cut this out as if I'm promoting it. I'm even not against it. Okay, so they'll do that actually. Because again, examples of how people do negative things. What was your thing?
Life without sin is a sin. It's a quote from Igarashi.
Life without sin is a sin. Got it. By the way, another argument. Religion. Great argument against religion. Let's say that you don't actually contribute anything to society, and then you just run around telling everyone that they're sinning and that you're going to cleanse them. You just manufactured a job out of thin air. Shaming. Shaming people. Why do a lot of people turn away from God? Because their version of God as a kid is their parents shaming them and beating them up. So, good examples. Go ahead, bro. Loud.
When people are mistreated in an environment, especially if that's the way they grow up, they see that that's just a normal way to be. It's like a survival. When you're constantly under attack, to attack back, it's just normal. It's
Yeah, it's like the world's messed up. People do bad stuff. So why don't you just attack back? Why don't you just realize that the world is hostile? Why don't you just embrace the truth? Why don't you realize that everything's a competition? Sex is a competition, money's a competition. Why don't you just embrace it? And there is a paradigm of that you have to understand. Okay? There is a paradigm of that you have to understand. Go ahead.
So the question is, your question is, what's a good argument for actually being that?
Yeah.
Well, one that comes to mind, which just off the top of my head, but if you are
Talk a bit faster.
if you are good by default, then are you really good, or are you just being good because you're like, oh, I just got to be good? When you can actually be a piece of shit, then every time you're good by choice. So every time you're good, you're actually at least you're really good.
That was a step ahead to the next section, but thank you. Yeah. Okay, last one. Okay, go ahead.
I just feel more different. I feel more being myself and feel more.
It's more natural to be a bad person or whatever. Okay, all right. Okay, last one, for real. Go ahead.
I think that the government and the people at the top, they want to control you, right? So the way to get to the actual top is to do what they do, and that's how.
Okay, so if the people at the top are controlling you, then become like them. Fight fire with fire. All right, so I think we've done a good job at creating what's called a steel man, okay? Steel man argument is something that people never afford me, by the way, when they break down my stuff. It's always these straw man arguments, like these weakened versions of what I teach. Let's just cut what he says out of context, say things he's not saying, and so on and so forth. That's called a straw man argument. So what we did here is a steel man argument. We probably could do better, okay? But let's do steel man argument. Now, let's talk about why that's trash, why people that do this are a joke, why people that do this are limiting themselves, and why people that are doing this are gonna burn in fucking hell. So let's talk. You ready? Yeah. You sound like a bunch of bitches right now. I gotta be honest with you. Are you ready? Yeah. All right, good. Okay, so a couple of basic things. Best things in life. Real friendship. Real friendship. Best things in life. Arts. Creation. Best things in life. Children. Family. Freedom. Giving.
experience.
Freedom. Experiences, yes. Okay. Now, what are the commonalities between art, charity, giving unconditionally, real friendship, and having children? What are some commonalities there?
Love.
So by the way, even as I hear like love and giving, it scares me because I know that most of you that yell this out, if I dug under the hood, most of you guys here are not really living that. If I go in your head, most of what's looping in your head is, how do I get what I want? What do people think of me? I'm hungry, I'm horny, I'm cold, how do I get what I want? Blah, blah, blah. You're just looping on yourself. Okay? So the commonalities between real love, real friendship, real art, real giving, real creation, having children, is that you don't need to do any of it. None of that stuff is necessary at all. It's completely and utterly unnecessary. Having a pet, unnecessary. But the fact that it is unnecessary means that it is coming from abundance. Just say the word abundance. Abundance. Pussies, louder. Abundance. Okay, so it's coming from abundance. Now, what that's gonna do, okay, when you come from abundance, basically what you're doing is basically what you're doing is you're reversing a black hole. Okay, so as you're sitting there going, how am I getting what I want? Am I being disrespected? What am I getting? What do people think of me? How do I get mine? What do I do? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, I've been like this for 90 million years. I've been like this ever since I'm born. I've been doing this since I'm a little kid. This has been my entire fucking life. I'm not even getting that rich, but I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna do this all day, all day, all day. Me, 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 me. It's me. It's me. It's me. It's me. It's me. 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 It's me. It's me. It's me. It's me. It's me. The hero. The hero. I'm the big fat hero. It's me. It's not working. This never works, but it's me. Great. Okay. So that's I'm trying to anchor in your head what your brain's doing to you. Okay? So you're just in your little head. And that's why weed is so popular, video games are so popular, wanking is so popular, All three at the same time is so popular. Because what it is at a core level, we're hypnotized into this socially. Okay, now, it took me kind of beating the damn video game to realize it's still just the big orgy of you. So it's still a contraction in the mind. A better feeling than that is actually getting out of your head. There's a natural euphoric buzz that you get when you get out of your head. How do you know this? Simple example, you're out at a bar club, you're crushing it. What does it feel like to be at a bar club crushing it? You wanna know how I feel? I feel completely and utterly self-fulfilled in my own body, stone sober. I have no thought at all. And all that I'm thinking is, how do I get everybody laughing? How do I just get everybody laughing? How do I just get everybody to have a good time? I don't need them to have a good time, but I'm just thinking, how do I get everybody to have a good time? That's all that I'm thinking. Now, weirdly, because I'm thinking, how do I get everybody to have a good time, you wind up going, maybe you're talking to somebody, and you're the first person the night that they spoke to that didn't need anything. And they wonder why you didn't need anything, which makes them curious about you. Now, I want you to think about heaven or hell as a place that your soul will resonate with when you die. But what if we said that heaven or hell starts every millisecond? So that process and that trajectory of your spirit begins right now. So if you're in your brain going me, 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 that's about separateness. That's defiance from God. So instead, connect to your present energy and giving energy. And what winds up happening is that you get a natural, here's what happens, here's the following, okay? Here's what you're gonna experience. One thing that you're gonna get is a natural euphoric buzz. You're gonna get that, okay? Another thing that you're gonna get is a huge expansion in your energy. Your energy is gonna shoot up through the roof. This is funny to say. This is me exhausted. I've been on the road for half a year, guys. Okay? I've been barely back home for half a year. I was either driving the country or doing seminars. I planned a whole 6-month seminar tour, and this is the last event. I'm kind of on fumes here. You know, and who here was in San Diego? Who here was in San Diego? How crazy did we go in San Diego?
That was great.
Yeah. So I'm still hungover from that, okay? So what happens, though, is that your baseline of energy goes higher, okay? Now, why does your energy go up? Because your brain isn't looping on me, 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 me. You know, because what's happening, it's not just me, 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 me. It's not just that. In addition to the me, 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 what it is that it's like, oh, you're getting what you want, you're not getting what you want, et cetera, et cetera. You're getting, you're not getting, you're getting, you're not getting. So what's happening is that it's always up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And then you're having to rationalize and so on and so forth in order to be okay with what it is that you're doing. So it tires you out. You ever have a night out at a bar club where you go home feeling so much energy even though you're sober that it's like this, you can't even go to sleep after you have so much energy? Yeah. That's because that's tuning you into that. Now, conversely, have you ever had a night at a bar club where you go out and you come home and it sucked and you're just gassed?
Yes.
Yeah. That is the signpost for the state of consciousness that you're shooting for and not shooting for. So once you understand that, you see the effect of having a higher purpose or something contributive is that it gives you, okay, look at what it's doing. Heaven or hell is not just a place that your soul is going. Heaven or hell starts right now. So if you don't just identify as you, but you say, no, I identify not only as me, but I care about the happiness of others as well. So think about this biblically for a moment, okay? What is the major idea in the Bible? Forgive people and love people as you love yourself. So that also means that you have to forgive yourself and you have to love people the same way that you love yourself. And what that does, this needs to be understood, is that it draws the mind out of the contraction. It draws the mind out of the smallness. So what's going to start happening when you do this is, rather than living in hell, you begin the process immediately in a very, very small way of living in heaven. And this is going to increase lateral thinking. Say that after me. Lateral thinking. Lateral thinking. Energy. Energy. Expansiveness. Expansiveness. Explosiveness. Explosiveness. Potency. Potency. Okay, and it's also going to create feelings of peace. Peace. Fulfillment. Fulfillment. Satisfaction. Satisfaction. Love. Love. And even euphoria. Euphoria. So that's why you want to have something that's contribution-based. It's not just a dog-eat-dog world. So now let me ask you another question. If you knew right now that you could never die, if you knew that you're invincible, if you knew that you had unlimited money, if you knew that you could date anyone who you want, if you knew that you could make friends with anybody you want, if you knew that you could snap your fingers and teleport anywhere that you want, and that your life would never end, how would you act? Think about that for a minute. So we're contrasting building the life that you want selfishly, but then looking at the paradigm beyond that about how that can be contribution-based and not just a big taker fest. And what I'm trying to encourage you to do here is to find that intersection point between the two. And not to be shamed into thinking that you can't live an awesome life of your own design. We're going to talk in great detail about that. But how to also live a life that's contributing, and that's contributing to the ascension and expansion of your soul. Amazing.